because that's where true growth is. That's where you have your best spiritual growth, and that's where you're gonna find your fulfillment and happiness. Because why are we on this earth? Isn't it just to be happy, you know? And how do we be happy? It's by...
If you had asked me a few years ago what my goal is in life, where do my ambitions lie and what drives me, my answer would have been this. I want to be an artist, not just one that shares occasionally and creates whatever whenever he feels like, but someone who's committed to the craft. Someone who puts a lot of thought and effort into making something which makes people think and hopefully plants a seed. A few years forward, and a lot of damn work, I can confidently say that the time I've put into those dreams has paid off. I've sacrificed social occasions, nights out, everyday comforts to stay in and create. But along that timeline, I lost track of something that's incredibly valuable. Something as equally, and if not even more important. Luckily, a few years ago, I met someone who taught me a lesson I'll never forget. Someone who also has similar ambitions and passions, but regardless of them, values something which he rarely overlooks. This is his story.
Please take your seats now for landing.
Feel me? Get that booty shot.
I met Karam a few years ago in Berlin. We bonded over filmmaking, storytelling, as well as our love for the outdoors. He was raised in Damascus to Syrian parents and immigrated to Canada at a young age. In 2018, while at McGill University, Karam got an email from Nathaniel, a travel storyteller. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and without much thought, he left Canada to travel the world with him, learning how to make videos for the first time ever. A week later, he called his parents, telling them he wasn't coming back home. You know, I've been wondering about this. Why did you quit school?
Yeah, to be honest, sometimes I look back at that time in my life where I'm just like, what was I thinking? Honestly. Because I was at a point in my life where doing what I was doing with school just did not interest me at all. I was very interested in the knowledge that I was consuming. I was not interested in the life that it would have given me after school. And so when this Nas Daily thing came up, and I went to Morocco, and he was like, hey, you wanna come stay with me instead of being in school? I was like, fuck it. I honestly didn't really think twice about it. And I was like, cool, let's just see where this goes. Because I could always go back to school if I wanted to. I knew I didn't want to, but this was way more interesting. Well, that was a mission. We walked around McGill, and that was really nice. It's like a major throwback. Major throwback. It's nice though, it was nice to walk into these buildings that I spent so much of my youth in. Libraries, classes, just fucking around. A lot of fucking around. Anyway, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here and motivating me to actually show someone this stuff, because then it also helps me reminisce on old lives, previous lives.
To be honest, I never really asked for it, but
It's not like a forced it.
you know, it's interesting, walking around campus, it's still bizarre that you can just make videos on the internet and you're sorted. You don't even have to do this.
Yeah, seriously,
you can just make videos on the internet and you're sorted.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends on what difference you want to, what impact you want to make on the world.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Some people want to go and discover the next new best medicine, or cure cancer or something like this.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and I tried, but then I was like, you know what, this is maybe not for me, and so I now make videos on the internet.
Yeah.
And make people feel things
Yeah.
instead.
I think the hardest thing for most people with a decision like that is just leaving home, friends, infrastructure that you've built. Like, yeah, you might know like one or two people here, but you don't have that infrastructure, and you kind of have to start from the ground. And yeah, in your 20s you can do that, but yeah, like why did you decide though to move out of home? Like,
It's gaining the confidence and knowing that you'll figure out whatever situation you put yourself in. Right? And that's by putting yourself in new experiences and being comfortable outside your comfort zone. And having already done so much uncomfortable stuff, you know, with the Nathaniel thing, and then coming to Berlin instead of going back to Montreal, and then traveling for a bit and all that kind of stuff. Then when I decided to really leave Montreal and move to Berlin, and I was like, well, I can figure it out. I've done it before, you know. I've been in situations where I was in extreme discomfort. You know, I biked 2,000 kilometers in Vietnam. Like, what is moving somewhere else, you know? Literally, without having done that anything like that before, you know?
yeah.
And also doing it with someone, you know? Like when I moved to Berlin, for example, that was like with my ex-girlfriend, with Lana, you know? It was just like, there were exciting things. Because like, we can't really always hang on to what we have forever, you know? I was at a point where I saw that I needed a change. And I was just trusting in whatever intuition that I had. Being like, I want to move to Berlin. I want to explore Europe. I want to move somewhere else, you know? I knew like the people I had in Montreal, like they're still there. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be my friends, my family. But yeah, it's just trusting in exploring new things. Like, our spirit it needs new experiences, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I think the family is probably the most difficult one. Because to them, then they're like, well, we've provided everything for you, and now you're choosing to live somewhere else, you know? And it's a love language, right? Because then they're like, well, we've built this beautiful life for ourselves somewhere after we have moved to North America. And then you are choosing now to leave us in your prime, where like we can also get to enjoy you, you know? We want to enjoy you in who you are now, you know? But then I was like, well, actually, the life that I want to build right now is in Berlin, is in Europe, rather than in Montreal. And so that's, it's very far away. And so it's difficult to, yeah, just like reason with that, you know? Because then you're just like, it's a bit of like a small rejection. Not a small, but it's a rejection, being like, I don't want to live beside you, which is like not true. I would love to. But it's just like, there were other opportunities that I would have loved to explore more of, that were in other places. I'm gonna be real honest with you right now. Today is October 24th, 2022. And on the day that I'm shooting this video, I have 10 euros to my name. And I have to pay rent in 6 days. But if you ask me, I would tell you that I'm the most successful that I've ever been. And that's because I started to measure my success by how happy I am, and not measure my happiness by how successful I am.
When I first moved to the city, I didn't really know anyone. Coming from the small island of Cyprus, I came here to achieve something really big, to build a career out of something that I enjoyed so much, being creative and using a camera. But in a city of 3.5 million, I had to build everything from the ground up. So I got to work. I slept in hostels and on people's floors. I worked as a city guide, a janitor. I didn't really care where I was or what I did. As long as I was in the city, I would spend every free minute learning how to get better at telling stories. In the following years, I met a lot of incredible people. We lifted and pushed each other to learn new things. Seeing them as ambitious as me just put a big smile on my face. Over time, I started to get more work, and I felt like everything was starting to come together. But in the back of my head, I still wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to where I imagined I could be. had visions, and I couldn't really articulate them the way I had them in my head. If you wanted to be a great artist, not just a good one, you had to give up a lot. And I was more than willing to. I was obsessed with the craft. My love for filmmaking continued to grow. But my social life started to plummet. I got obsessed with routines and everything possible to optimize my productivity. I had to become a machine for creativity. In the beginning of 2024, it all started to take a toll. Years of work had finally caught up with me, and I didn't have the focus or even want to create anything for myself or anyone else. I wasn't excited about any part of the process, and the resistance just kept growing. It was at that time that I got to travel with Karam from Europe to Canada to meet his family, his old friends, and go on a 2-week winter camping adventure in the back country, which is a whole nother video of its own. Coming back from that trip, I was so clear-minded. I had realized that my definition of success had morphed, and I didn't want to be a great artist anymore. I didn't want to be anything. I just wanted to purely exist and be happy with where I am, with who I am, regardless of how much or little I did. I was trying to be content, but in all honesty, I also felt stuck. I had achieved so much of what I wanted, but if you're like me, there's always that voice in the back of your head asking, what's next? I had partially defined success by metrics and numbers, that I started to forget about the thing that matters most. The thing that remains when everything else is gone. You have done so much in your life. And at this point, I'm kind of curious. How do you define success?
I think there are different kinds of successes, right? I think I am successful if I'm fulfilled, you know, and I see that there's purpose in my life, right? And I'm living it and providing for others. It's like, I would say I'm successful now because I'm living my everyday life, having the choice of to spend my time how I want to spend my time, you know? I get to create, I get to spend time with my loved ones, I get to meet new cool people, make great connections, and help facilitate great connections being built by other people. And that to me is success. But I don't think, like, I would never define success by money and by numbers on Instagram and stuff like that. Because I was there when I had 20,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm there now with 110,000 followers on Instagram. Like, of course, like having like financial success is important, right? But you don't want to be rich. No one wants to be rich.
There's a lot of people who want to be rich.
But that's the thing is that.
But they don't know
that
more
don't.
money brings more problems.
Exactly. It's not about having money. It's about having enough money to be able to sustain a lifestyle that you want. And the lifestyle that you want isn't what society tells you, isn't what capitalism tells you, right? Like, have more stuff, buy more stuff. It's about how can I live my life on a day-to-day basis, to spend time with the people that I love and better their lives and my life, you know, and have enough money to be able to do that.
Yeah. But you seem to have a good balance between actually just, I don't know, spending time with friends and working. Like, of course, it is the lifestyle that you've built that allows for that. What do you think else is important outside of that?
I mean, don't diminish yourself to what you get paid to do. And what else is important? Honestly, it's people. I think that's the biggest thing, is people and relationships. Because finally, we're all here trying to live the best life that we can, and we just hold each other's hands along the way to just make it easier. Maybe make some inappropriate jokes along the way, you know? But it's just like this is the shit that you remember in a few years. What are the conversations that you have, and who are the people who are there with you having these conversations, you know, and helping you with during the rough times. Yeah. Because like, you want to grow, you should want to grow, and you should want your loved ones to grow as well. And you need to surround yourself by people who help your growth. And also you need to be someone who helps other people's growth.
I guess also people who make you curious as well and excited about things.
Of course.
Because growth sometimes can be scary.
Of course.
Certain things we just don't want to change sometimes.
Yeah. I think curiosity, of course, is very, very important, right? It's just like being curious into doing new things, right? Because like, how do you grow, right? How do you become a better person is by doing difficult things. And it really helps when you have the right people around you to do those difficult things with. Because doing it alone just fucking sucks. And if you're just there to make money and that's it, then what's the point if you're alone and you can't share that with anyone, you know? I mean, the thing that I would say is just it's always look out for other people, you know? Like always do what's right by others and what's right by yourself. Invest in people and relationships over anything else because that's where true growth is. That's where you have your best spiritual growth and that's where you're gonna find your fulfillment and happiness. Because why are we on this earth? Isn't it just to be happy, you know? And how do we be happy? Is by surrounding ourselves with the right people and giving people ways to be fulfilled and to grow. Yeah, I think just invest in other people and just be a good human. It's not that hard to be a good human. There's always a clear choice. For example, am I a good human by doing this or am I a good human by doing this? You just know when the right decision to make when it comes to doing right by others. And just communicate with people. If you don't do the right decision, then just talk to people. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nathaniel.
My back is also down.
Gross.
Yeah. Hug my shoulders.
Thanks.
You're awesome human.
You too. Glad we collected each other along the way.